on a hilltop.
Yeah.
But we've actually been able to get the Imperial Whitetail Clover to grow right here.
Yeah.
But this is probably our third year.
Third year
without
maintenance.
overseeding it. That's right, without doing any overseeding or anything. And we're just not seeing the growth, you know, in the clover coming back up. So I mean, tell me, what are you seeing here, and what do you think we need to do to kind of get it back to where it was?
Yeah,
you know?
I'm seeing some indications of heavy deer pressure.
Yeah.
Because the clover we do see is, if it's got much height to it, it's hiding under another plant, and then I'm seeing a lot of grass. So it all telltale sign that we're having not done pre-emergent, fighting off weeds, while also a lot of deer browse. And so typically a recommendation is going to be a pre-emergent or spraying the grasses out throughout the growing season with a grass-specific herbicide, or we're trying to do herd management.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that are really hurting the clover blend here.
So what we see here though is like in the middle of the summer in August, like it knocks the clover back.
Yeah.
I mean, like it dies out just due to the heat.
Yeah.
You know, but it generally it'll come right back.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, how is what you're talking about going to impact that? You know, because we haven't ever done any real, I mean, you know, chemical management on this site.
So the grasses that are here are ryegrass and cheatgrass, which are cool season grasses. So anytime you get that moisture, whenever, you know, everything's kind of going dormant that I see growing right here, going dormant or have already gone through their life cycle, because we have a green growth and then we have all this last year's vegetation.
Yeah.
And so spraying it back is going to allow that clover to go and jump and grow like crazy during the time of the year when it's had that ability, and it's not fighting off the other competition that's also trying to do the same thing during that time.
Will that help it? Will that help it last through the summer? Maybe.
Maybe, probably not. At least we know that during the summer months, what I'm seeing right now, based on the brown growth that was here last year, or is from the growing season last year, is that not only was it probably going to deal with the heat, but it was also dealing with competition of the other grass.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So let's remove the competition and allow it just to go and really get vigorous growth, and hopefully that will help it withstand that.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, the clovers that you planted with Whitetail Institute, they're a cool season crop.
Right.
So they're not
built for the summer months.
Yes.
Yeah. So
if you find that clover, you let me know.
No, yeah, clover's, it likes the moisture, right? You know, it doesn't like that hot heat. So after the hot heat, when we're kind of coming back into the fall, you know, what am I going to do to then try to revitalize that clover and bring it back?
Fight off the competition. Coming
into the, you know, the hunting season.
Yeah, so what you see with cheatgrass is it grows during the summer, or it grows during the fall, and then in the spring it bolts out again and it makes seed, and that seed disperses because it's an annual, and so then it starts growing again in the fall. But if we kill it in the spring before it makes a seed, the clover has all the ability to start going and growing great during the fall.
Yep.
So we just need to make sure that we remove the grass. Let's get rid of that competition, because that's the biggest problem I see right here is grass competition.
So what we want to see is a full clover stand in the June, July, and then it dies out in August, September.
Yeah, it goes dormant.
But what will we do in August, September to make sure that it's the clover that comes back in October?
Yes, remove the competition throughout the
before that time.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. And then what I like to do is add annual blends to the clover during that dormant season. Okay. So like on my farm, what we do a lot to combat that is we plant brassicas in July over our clover. Yeah. And so when the clover kind of goes dormant and we start getting cracks in the ceiling, if you will, we broadcast brassicas or turnips. Yeah. And so
your tall tine tubers, your Whitetail Institute winter greens.
Correct. Okay. Yep. Because what we have is we have legumes who are fixating nitrogen. And then
you got a ton of nitrogen in the soil.
Got a ton of nitrogen in the soil, and something's going to utilize it. God didn't. Right. God doesn't make monocultures typically. Right. Yep. And now you have this grass which loves nitrogen, which is cheatgrass and ryegrass, and it goes crazy.
Oh, right, no doubt.
And so
why wouldn't it?
The term grows like a weed. It literally grows like the term, and it goes nuts. And if we can spray that and then replace that growth or replace that plant with one of our choice that can tap into that nitrogen, now we have two crops that are basically trying to provide forage, and they're working together to fight off the competition.
So how are we going to get those tall tine tubers and the winter greens? How are we going to mix them into that?
Broadcast.
Just walk around with a hand seeder.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
If you were looking at hurricane rains or these tropical storms that hit late summer.
No, we do. Yeah,
we can broadcast
ahead of that. Yeah.
Ahead of that. And we're going to broadcast in my part of the world. We do a lot in July. You can do it in August. Whenever the tropical storms are hitting.
So if it's all clover then, and it gets kind of died back, there's going to be a lot of soil showing anyway.
Correct.
So we're going to get the seed soil contact that we need in order to get it sprouted and get it growing. And,
and then the real trick is, and this is where a lot of people are struggling with our current trends in climate, where September is starting to be one of our driest months. But we still get dews a lot in September. And if we can get our crops like brassicas and radishes at least growing from the tropical storms, they can withstand the heat because of the dews in the morning. But if we were reliant on the dews to get them up and growing, they're going to fail. So if we can start earlier and go with crops that can withstand the heat, like a brassica, then we'll have provide a great forage.
Wow.
So pre-emergent and grass-specific herbicides to fight it off in the spring, and then add the supplement of annual brassicas in the fall, or in the summer for the fall. That's going to help get more year-round growth.
That's awesome. Thanks, dude.